This video is sponsored by PokemonStore.com, the best place to get yourself some TCG code cards. They are compatible with TCG Live, and you can of course get everything on the website for 5% off using the coupon code ZapdosTCG. This video is also sponsored by Cardmarket.com. This is a European platform where you're able to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. I personally use it every single day, and you can do it as well. And you can use the referral name ZapdosTCG to help support the channel. This video is also sponsored by YourPlaymat.com. This is a platform where you're able to, of course, create your own custom playmat. They have, of course, capabilities to ship worldwide, and you can get 10% off by clicking the link down below. So definitely check it out. Last but not least is Dragon Shield, the best brand to protect your beautiful cards. You can of course there's links down below for US and European people, and you can of course get your best quality sleeves available, as well as deck boxes and binders. Thanks so much for sticking around with the commercials. I hope you enjoyed today's upload. If you do, be sure to let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button, and let's get this video going. Sup YouTube, it's ZapdosTCG here, and welcome back to another TCG video on my channel. On this channel you get daily Pokemon TCG uploads, so be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. In this video we're going to be checking out some new cards that we're going to be getting in Temporal Forces. This set will come out in the West at the end of March, just before EUIC, and we'll come back with lots of amazing cards. We already checked out most of the ancient Pokemon that are going to be good with Professor Sala's Vitality. And we're going to be checking out the rest because we now have a leak from more of the cards that we will be getting in Temporal Forces. So there's Gengar EX, some more Terra Pokemon, really disruptive trainer cards, as well as some great new basic Pokemon that can help out here and there. It's going to be fantastic, so if you guys are hyped for it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. And with that being said, let's just dive into these new cards that have been revealed. First of all, Gengar EX. Gengar is a fan favorite. We all know that, one of the most popular Pokemon in existence, one of the better looking Kanto Pokemon, and Gengar finally has another ultra rare. We had of course Gengar V's, we had Gengar, everything with Gengar, Gengar always comes out as an ultra rare. So here we have Gengar EX, the corroding curse. Whenever your opponent attaches an energy from their hand to one of their Pokemon, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So this also works in that sense. If the opponent uses Professor Sala's Vitality, they will get 2 damage counters, 2 damage counters. So that's where the ability stacks. Also, for every Gengar you can get out, this ability also stacks. So it's a stage 2, which is very hard to deal with because you will need rare candy, and its damage output isn't all that high. Trick Stab slaps 160 damage, and you may move 1 energy from your opponent's active to one on their bench. That's actually an interesting disruptive mechanic here, because you're going to be attacking. If you knock something out, that's pretty unfortunate, but you can just put the energies to useless Pokemon. For instance, let's say a Squawkabilly, for instance. You can just put energies on there and say like, you're not getting these energies back. So that's interesting. 160 damage. If you're hitting for weakness, that's actually hitting the numbers on stage 2 EX Pokemon as well. And with this card will come out by the time UV Max will rotate. So not hitting for weakness against that actually kind of sucks, but I think this card is mediocre, to be honest. I wish Gengar was a little bit more playable than this, but yeah, that's what we're getting. I wonder what the full art and stuff will look like, because this will be the one that the collectors really want. Next up is Wugtrio EX, a Terra Pokemon. As mentioned, Terra Pokemon cannot get damaged while on the bench. We have Troika Pump. Discard up to 3 energy from your hand and choose one of your opponent's Pokemon. This attack does 60 damage to that Pokemon for each energy you discarded in this way. Oh wow, you can snipe 180 for 1 energy. That's actually pretty nasty. The only problem I see with this is that Manaphy is still lurking around in a lot of decks. That means if they see a Wiglet, they say, oh, I'm gonna slap down Manaphy, and then suddenly this attack becomes very bad. So there's that. You could also have a couple of canceling Cologne, I suppose. So the 180 number is pretty good because it does hit Squawkabilly and Lumineon V. They both get annihilated by a Troika Pump as soon as the second turn. So you're also a lightning type, so against Pidgeot, you can also one-shot that if it's in the active position. So It's pretty interesting, this Pokemon, and I wonder if people will actually try this out. It actually is one of those Pokemon that is very weak to stuff like Manaphy, and it requires lightning type, it requires water energies even though it's a lightning type, so it could be included in specific water decks as a lightning tech. Pretty cool. Its attack also has 120 damage, and during your opponent's next turn they cannot retreat. But of course, most of the decks are still playing switch outs. Next is Incineroar EX. Monstrous 320 HP, which is great for a stage 2 EX. Not as high as a Charizard, but it's still getting up there. And it has a very cool ability. Attacks used by this Pokemon cost 1 colorless energy less for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Most of the time, the opponent will have 3 bench Pokemon, let's be honest. So you'll be able to use the attack Blazing Bomb for about 2 energies. And your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned as well, so that's 260. That's a great damage number for a low amount of energy, so we will see what we can do with Incineroar here. It does require a low amount of energy, so maybe this could be something, but I think 240 if you're playing a stage 2 Charizard EX from the Obsidian Flames deck. Actually, the Obsidian Flames set is way better than this because by the time the opponent has taken 2 prize cards, you're slapping 240. If they've taken more prize cards, you're slapping like 270, 300, you name it. Charizard also sets itself up, so these are like bulk EXs if I'm being honest. Maybe Wugtrio as a 1-1 line if lightning weakness becomes relevant. Farigiraf EX has actually a very great ability. The tail armor prevent all damage done to this Pokemon by attacks from your opponent's basic Pokemon EX. You might think, yeah, we have a Roaring Moon counter. Or yeah, we have a Miraidon counter. This actually works really well against Miraidon decks, let's be honest. But against Roaring Moon, it only prevents the damage. So if they use Frenzied Gouging, you still are knocked out. So I think this is the only way, the only thing that works against stuff like Miraidon that only relies on basic Pokemon that deal damage, then this card actually might see some success. I could also see it working out in some sort of a control deck. At one point there will be archetypes in the game only relying on basic Pokemon, and that's where, yeah, it's also a stage 1, so that's very easy to get out that, yeah, a controlling archetype might use a card like this. Its attack 160 damage and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon is something you probably won't use. But yeah, preventing damage from basic Pokemon. We are also not in a basic heavy format. Definitely with a lot of stage 2 decks. Think about Charizard EX, think about Gardevoir EX. Lots of evolving decks. So the format is actually pretty healthy. So it's not a big basic format. So this ability is actually less good than you might think. There is also the Girafric that goes along with that. There's a Roaring Moon, 1 prize, basic Pokemon, 140 HP. This attack, actually, it slaps 70 damage, and this attack does 10 more for each ancient card in your discard pile. Remember that Earthen Vessel is an ancient card. Remember that Professor Sada is an ancient card. Remember that if a Roaring Moon EX is knocked out, it's an ancient card. You could stack up a lot of damage with that, and that means this is a very bulky 140 HP 1 prize Pokemon that goes straight into the Roaring Moon deck. That's actually pretty damn good. So yeah, we have that. 140 is actually huge. There's also Koraidon, also an ancient Pokemon. This attack does 30 damage for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So they're working around the concept that you need to have all ancient Pokemon in play. Let's say you have 6 of them out on the field. You're going to be able to slap 180 for 2 energies, which you're able to set up with Professor Sada, by the way. 180, is it going to be enough to turn a 1 prize ancient deck into existence? Probably not, but it's also a dragon type. You don't hit anything for weakness. It's a cool card regardless. Great Tusk, and also another fighting type Pokemon. Discard the top card of the opponent's deck for a double turbo energy. If you've played an ancient supporter card from your hand this turn, discard 3 more cards from the top of their deck. This is a basic Pokemon, might I add, so you can just play Professor Sada, attach of the turn, discard 4 cards. Wow, we have a mill archetype, ladies and gentlemen. Durant has returned. You will need to play Sada every turn, and you'd have like monstrous HP, 140. Like if you're up against something like a Lost Box and they're not quick enough, you can also not get Iron Hand EX, which is very good. That means you can mill 4 cards, mill 4 cards, mill 4 cards, Power Pat, Sada, backhand, and mill 4 cards again. Professor's Sisters, also something you might throw in here and there. But yeah, you probably also always need to play Professor Sada to make the most of this card. This is cool. I love that we get another mill deck. I know a lot of people that would be really happy to play a very crazy deck like that. We had the Rant in the past. Okay, Iron Valiant, the future Pokemon are here. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck and put them back on top in any order. That's its first attack. And then Majesty Sword. 100 damage. If you play the future supporter card from your hand this turn, you slap 100 damage more. So 200 damage for yeah, a 1-price Pokemon. And of course you can use there is a new amazing Ace pack to set up Pokemon like this. You could also use Xatu, but yeah, it's a lot of energies that it requires. But there is of course a tool, yeah, an Ace pack card that we're gonna be checking out later that might change your perspective on future Pokemon. Search your deck for up to 2 basic energies and attach them to your future Pokemon any way you like. So this is also a way, this Miraidon could be your early lead to set up stuff like your Iron Valiant, etc. So interesting for sure. Its attack is actually 160 for 3 energies. That's a little bit low, but it's a 1-price Pokemon. So there's Iron Threats. While this Pokemon has a future booster energy capsule attached, it is both fighting and metal type. Okay. Problem I see here is that its attack is only slapping 60 damage. You see where we're going with this? There's a shift tree. Choose 3 of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Your opponent shuffles all of their other bench Pokemon and all the cards back into their deck. Shift tree back at it again. You can say like Comfy Ninja and all the rest get shuffled back into their deck, which is hilarious. But it's only, yeah, you have to select 3 bench Pokemon, so you will need to like counter catch or something up first, but it's a hilarious, and the only problem I see here is that you shuffle them in the deck. It would be really ridiculous if you like discarded everything. That would be so hilarious. There is a Relicanth. This actually is a very great card. Each of your evolved Pokemon can use attacks from its previous evolution. You still need the necessary energy to use each attack. But this is a very great card and opens up the door for a lot of possibilities. For instance, I saw the Magnezone EX that can use the Magneton's attack to get like 2 items back from the discard pile. So you can now have a monstrous HP while using attacks from the previous stage, which is actually pretty good. Something like a Giratina V-Star can now use Shreds and otherwise you would need to like lost 2 energies with the Lost Impact. After you've used Star Requiem, now you slap Relicanth down and out of nowhere you can use Shred instead. So yeah, lots of uses for the Relicanth. We will need to dive into the card pool metas to see how good it actually might become. There is a Raichu, the Entangling Bolt. This attack does 50 damage to each of each other Pokemon in play that has any damage counters on them. Okay, that's interesting. So this attack does 50 damage to each other Pokemon in play that have any damage counters on them, both yours and your opponent. So, okay, I think it makes sense. So, every Pokemon that has damage counters on it, whether it's yours or your opponent's, gets 50 damage, right? That's something I see here. This could be interesting with like Iron Valiant, like put damage everywhere and then boom, Entangling Bolt. Who knows? There is a Feraligatr with a Torrential Heart. Once during your turn, you may put 5 damage counters on this Pokemon. You do have 180 HP, by the way. If you do this Pokemon's attack deal 120 damage more to the opponent's active Pokemon this turn. You need 2 waters, and you can slap 280. 280 on the 1-price Pokemon. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. you can definitely agree. But it's a stage 2, but on the other hand, it is capable of using Irida for rare candy. You will need to set up 2 waters time and time again. Maybe EXP share for Alligator, Irida deck. Who knows? It's gonna be a Mimi rogue deck. Whimsicott. Once during your turn, when you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may heal all damage from your active grass Pokemon if you do discard all energy from that Pokemon. Okay, so you have max potion for your active grass type Pokemon if we evolve into Whimsicott. Is it finally time to bring out your Venusaur EX and start doing... The problem is you discard all the energies, right? Metagross. It's a bulk Pokemon, what can I say? Matang. It has an ability though. Once during your turn, you may look at the top 4 cards of your deck and attach any number of basic metal energies you find there to your Pokemon any way you like. Yo! Okay, so this is like an easier to get out Magnezone. The Magnezone used this to like power up Dialga. And this time around we have a stage 1. You just evolve, look at the top 4 cards, and it's also once during your turn. So every single turn you can do this. This Metang is great. Eerie. It also synergizes well with that new supporter that allows you to put 2 cards from your deck on top of the deck. So that's cool. Eerie. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard up to 2 item cards you find there. Very aggressive, supporter to discard stuff. So you discard 2 items you find there. Like, let's say you're up against Charizard. They used Rotom, Tandem, Unit, and you say like, ha, Eerie. Candy, discard. That's insane. Like, control decks will really love this. Also, if you're playing Snorlax block, whoa, you can now, if you're up against something like a Lost Box, you say like, oh, this deck plays way too many switch outs. Here we go. Eerie. Team Fortune Sisters. The Fortune Sisters can just, in combination with Eerie, discard like switches everywhere. So this is a great card. Bianca's Devotion. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon that has 30 HP or less remaining. Okay. This could be used in Gardevoir, I suppose. You can heal up a Shining Arcana instantly, but the problem is Shining Arcana rotates. And that's where we have issues, because the new school Gardevoir EX decks will run Drifloon and Screamtail, which love the damage, so that's a no-go. You might think, oh, Roaring Moon, after I've used Frenzied Gouging, I'll use this supporter, but most of the time you get Revenge knocked out, so yeah. I don't see a world where this is currently working. Maybe in the future. Okay, Emergency Board. I wish this was escape board. Yeah. The retreat costs of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 1 less. If that Pokemon has 30 HP or less remaining, it has no retreat cost. 30 HP or less. There's a lot of things going around with 30 HP or less. It's like, I know Roaring Moon has 30 HP and when it uses Frenzied Gouging, but I don't see any other use for a card like this. Also, instantly having free retreat, I suppose. Maybe you could put this. Nah, I would say in a Roaring Moon deck, but I don't know. I don't think so currently. Order Box. After you use this card, your turn ends. This already starts great, doesn't it? I love these cards. Search your deck for up to 2 item cards, reveal them, and put them in the hand. So you can end your first turn with like this. Also could be used in decks that actually are not attacking. Again, Snorlax block. Little example, or any other control deck for that matter. If you're not attacking, you can end your turn by searching your deck for 2 item cards. I know you're instantly weak against Iono, but not all the decks play Iono. Think about Lost Stone decks playing Colress. Think about Roaring Moon decks playing Sada. Think about Charizard decks playing Arven. So this searches out 2 items. It's interesting for sure. Your turn does end by the end decks and decks that you do not attack. This is actually interesting. Hand Trimmer. Both players discard cards from their hand until they each have 5 cards in hand. Your opponent discards first. Any player with 5 cards or less in their hands do not discard any cards. Okay, this is the first time we're gonna have an effect going around with the Amoonguss as well, because there is an Amoonguss in the format that if it gets discarded, some stuff happens. So there's that at least. And then also, imagine you're playing up against, again, Snorlax block or any deck that draws a lot of cards. Let's say a Gardevoir deck that has like 10 cards in hand. You like Hand Trimmer. They have to discard so many resources. That's kind of ridiculous. This card is very good in disruptive decks, and also you can use this against Snorlax if they have like 14 cards. Like, discard most of your resources. This card is crazy good. Okay, Drum of Awakening. Draw a card for each of your ancient Pokemon in play. So it's an Ace Spec card. You can only have 1 Ace Spec card in your entire deck. That does indicate that you have to be very selective which Ace Pack card you're choosing. For me, most of the time that will be Prime Catcher, because I'll probably be playing a deck with Pokestops, and that just is awesome. Anyhow, there's gonna be a deck out there playing purely on ancient Pokemon in play. We did see that, or was it again Koraidon, slapping more damage for every ancient Pokemon in play. Draw a card for every ancient Pokemon in play. Drawing cards with an item card has always been good. Think about like Trekking Shoes. Think about Acrobike. All the cards in existence that draw cards are good. But will you play it over Prime Catcher? That's the problem. Reboot Bot. Okay, for each of your future Pokemon in play, each of them, choose 1 basic energy from your discard pile and attach it to that Pokemon. This is a very, very powerful item card. You can tutor it out with Arven. Irida, etc. So you're gonna be able, you have to play a very turbo deck. Maybe you play like Pokestops and stuff, you want to discard a lot of basic energies, set your field up like also all the Iron Valiants, and then for each of them, you can accelerate an energy to them, then play some E-switches here and there. You're purely reliant on this card to set yourself up, but it's going to be very great. The more future Pokemon you have in play, the better it is. I could also give a little example. I have 2 Iron Hands in play. I use Reboot Bot. I accelerate a basic energy from the discard pile to both the Iron Hands. 1-1. I use E-switch to the other Iron Hands. I equip DTE and I say, thank you very much, turn 1. Yeah, I know. Things good. This Reboot Bot is worth thinking about. This is a great card. Okay. Reuniclus. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. Choose any number of Pokemon you find there and place them onto your bench. As mentioned, we do have that new supporter allowing you to put 2 cards on top of the deck. So, Summoning Star at home. That's what I'm calling this one. Because Summoning Gate is like, you can use Summoning Star from the Lugia V-Star to put some Carlos Pokemon from the discard pile onto your bench. The Reuniclus for a Carlos energy can get any Pokemon you find there onto the bench. It doesn't have to be basic Pokemon. You can also put Stage 1, Stage 2s. You can all put them in play. This actually might see play at one point if some wacky control deck wants to get like a lot of Stage 2s out that you want. So, interesting. There's the Heroescape. I think we've already talked about Heroescape. So, yeah, these are the cards we've already talked about. So, yeah. We did a lot of sneak peek reviewing for this set. Most importantly, this set will contain monstrous amounts of cards, very good playable Ace Spec cards, item cards, disruption cards, special energies. More importantly, the Buddy Buddy Puffins is the Battle VIP Pass replacements. You have Prime Catcher, Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, Raging Bolt, all these fantastic cards, all thrown in the Temporal Forces set coming out on the 22nd of March. So, if you guys are hyped for it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. For now, check out my sponsors. They are, of course, yeah, the bread and butter for the channel to help, yeah, support it. Like, we've been doing this for so long, and these are the people that make it happen. PokemonStore.com, the best place for TCG Live code cards. Use the coupon code ZapDoesTCG for 5% off. There's yourplaymat.com to create your own custom playmat. You can click the link down below to get 10% off your order when creating a custom playmat. They ship worldwide, and of course, yeah, you can get that 10% discount. New year, new playmat. That's my saying here. There's DragonShield.com to have, of course, your best quality sleeves available to you. Sleeves, binders, deck boxes, they have it all. You can click the link down below or use the coupon ZapDoes5 to get 5% off over at DragonShield.com. There is cardmarket.com for European players to buy and sell cards to people all across Europe. Use the referral name ZapDoesTCG. I use Card Market every day. You guys should do that as well. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for some more Pokemon TCG madness. Peace.